back. Today I am going to talk about over spiritualization and implementation. One being taking the practices and living up there, and one being living down here, implementing the practices, being the human that we are, the human being. So over spiritualization is a term that's come from religious sections, if you like. So it was given to me and I thought, oh, let me just do a bit of research on it, because I channeled some pieces and I wanted to put it into context. So from a religious perspective, it might be something like, and some of the examples I was given were particularly on Christianity pages. So I'll just take it from what's there just to explain. It might be that Jesus wore sandals, so therefore you believe you need to wear sandals, right? You live the way that he lived, right? That isn't necessarily implementation. Implementation is taking the right interpretation of spiritual activity, growth practices, and implementing them in a human perspective, right? So often you'll find people are stuck up here. They've done one course after the next. They're working on their spiritual self, and then they'll be like, yeah, I've healed everything. And then you're like, yeah, but why aren't you changing your life? They haven't done the implementation bit. They haven't implemented. So this is what I want you to be very, very conscious of. It's great working on your energy, on your belief systems, on the patterns. You must implement, because the body is the protein matter that carries the soul forward to have the experience. And if that ain't happening, the soul isn't fully gaining its experience. You're going to come back and do it all over again. We don't want that. So I've written some notes. Let me work through them for you, okay? So it means that when you are high up there and you're connected and you're living a spiritual life, but you're not implementing, you've got a disconnection. Now, when you become disconnected, you might find that you become ill, that you become deflated, depressed. You're like, well, I'm this spiritual being. Why am I feeling like this? It's because you've become disconnected to earth. You've lost the earth's electromagnetic fields, the grounding element, the earthing element that creates this reality. That's why it's happened. So very important to get the two very much in alignment. So, these people are also the people that you'll find that when you ask them something, they say, yeah, I know. Yeah, I know I should be doing that, I know. But they're not doing it. They know it all, but they're not doing it. They're so well versed in their spiritual knowledge, their practices, but they may be overweight, they may be lethargic, they may be lacking energy, they may be not fulfilling their soul's purpose. There's a lot of things that might be going on because they've become so disconnected to the part of us that needs to really implement this, okay? And I'll keep on repeating this because I'm seeing this so much, you know, particularly when I've launched a course called Intentional Business to help way showers, light workers, healers, therapists, practitioners to affect others positively whilst earning money. And one of the most common things that I come across is I've done so much belief work. I've done all the belief work on my money. I've done the belief work on my self-worth. I've done the belief work on my visibility. And I'm like, why are you still doing it? And they're like, I don't know. I'm just not doing it. Implementation, yet again. So there's a gap that needs closing. And the fear is that I can be the spiritual being, but when I ground and I land in it, that could be quite scary, because is that experience different to the one I'm having up here? Actually, no, you bring that experience into the physical form, integrate it, embody it, and then you go. That combined feeling is fulfilling the soul's purpose, and not a thing where your soul's hanging out here going, yeah, we know about the spiritual stuff, but we haven't lived it for real. That's the thing we're getting to, okay? So the psychological term for the disconnection is called deflation. So you're very connected in the spiritual, but you're still deflated. You're still not living in that purpose. You're not on your soul path. You're not earning what you should be. In fact, you're doing quite the opposite, even for a spiritual person. What spiritual poor people, for instance. There we go. That's a very good example. Now, when people are like that, they're spiritual addicts, right? So they're course junkies, they want to learn more, they're truth seekers, they're collecting. At some point, you have to stop collecting and start integrating and embodying. But there's an avoidance of that. There could be avoidance for many reasons. It could be that they don't feel safe in their body. It could be that they're not enjoying the experience. It could be that they don't know how to, that they believe that it's a spiritual journey, not a human journey, that the two don't work together. There's a number of reasons why they might not be feeling that the two are supposed to be one. They're often labelled as truth seekers as well. However, the biggest label I'm going to give them is stuck. They are stuck. They're not moving forward because there is something stopping them doing that. And that will be different from each person when you understand what it is that's holding them in that place. Only you can do that when you reflect back, because when you ask yourself, why am I not moving forward? Your intuitive voice will give you the answer straight away. And it's quite addictive. It's just as addictive as having an addiction problem, right? To drugs, alcohol, sex, whatever it might be. It's the same addiction, because you get the high in the practice, but you don't get the high in real life. It's like you're checking out, right? So that's probably the easiest way that I can label it. So you get the massive high and then it's followed by the low because you can't live it in your human life. The high of the connection and seeing the truth and opening up your intuitive centers is an amazing thing. The first time I connected to source energy and I closed my eyes, I was up there. My teacher was like, right now, come back. And I was like, no, I'm staying up here. And she was like, no, come back. And I'm like, nope, I'm staying here. Because I did not understand this amazing, phenomenal, loving, expansive experience that I was having that I'd never had before. And I'd had a child and I'd got married, but I'd never had this such a wide experience before, like as this. And I was like, yeah, but if I come back into my body, I don't know how to bring that in. I don't know how to experience it. It's not possible to experience it. So I kept the two separate until I understood that they're not two, they're one. They are one. It's, you know, a soul having a human experience, and they have to live in harmony together. But I was not having it. I was just like, I'm just going to stay up here and you can do what you want to do. Well, you know, sod's law, I had to come back into it, didn't I? And learn how to make it a thing for myself. So it's the highs and lows that we're trying to avoid, and have that neutral path of, I'm in the center, I am connected, I am human, I've got this down. You know, my emotions are balanced, my physicality is good, you know, it's balanced. And not being in an extreme high or an extreme low. Of course, you have your highs and lows, but you always come back to that middle set point that I always talk about. Okay. Energy healing and awakening is one part. Embodiment and implementation is another. But I feel that people don't understand the process. Okay. So energy healing heals the lessons that the soul came here to learn. Okay, the physical experience, that once you've learned them, that the physical experience, the human experience, can be one of ease. Okay, integration, as I understand it, now you may see this differently, your version is your version, that's absolutely fine, but this is the only way that I found, not the only way, it's a way that I found to simplify the process so you understand it. Integration is the allowing of the physical body to receive the healing, right? For the changes to land in our bodies so that all four bodies can learn to be triggered into alignment, okay? And you may need to have integration on different levels, okay? Now, embodying it, putting it into the body and working with it is more for me about the implementation. So the healing work has been done. I'm integrating it. My body's learning to accept it and understand the new patterns and the ways of being. Now I have to live it, embodiment, okay? It's the human being aspect of this. So learning how to be in the new state of being which the healing created. Okay, so 3 steps, and I'm going to come back to those in a minute. The process is often overlooked. I've done the healing, I'm good to go. But no, I'm not, because I'm still stuck, right? I haven't allowed it to integrate because I've done healing upon healing upon healing upon healing, and it's too much to integrate. Oh, I've crashed. The integration can't happen, right? Now I need to take some time out to recover so I don't go to a healing crisis to allow it to integrate. And then afterwards I'm like, oh, I'm exhausted, I can't embody it. So when we take each healing as an individual, and I do like to take them as an individual, I don't like layering healing upon healing upon healing. I like to do one thing, speak to my body about the integration. So how long is this going to take? How long do I have to be good to you? What do I need to do to help the integration? So I ask my body that question, and often I get an answer. And then afterwards, it's like, how do I apply this? How do I apply this in my everyday? And then I listen to it, and then I do that. So if you've got a good intuitive connection, you can do that. You can also free write it, so journal upon it. So you write down, it's as if you're talking to yourself, so you'll hear it in your own voice. But it's like, how long do I need for integration? Pop down the first number that you hear. Now, normally when I get a number, I ask, is it days? Is it hours? Is it weeks? Is it months? How long is it going to take? And normally it's only days or weeks. It's not very long. But very rarely is it hours. Okay, it is normally days and weeks. And then for the embodiment, how do I actually practice this? How do I live this in my daily life? And then journal upon it and you'll get your answers. Now, some of the answers will be very, 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 very simple. It might be meditate, it might be still, it might be rest more, it might be sleep more. And you'll think that's really boring and you'll be like, I don't really want to do that. I want a really impactful answer so I can go with this. They won't be. There'll be basic things that you need to do. So please pay attention to them and do them, because that's how you're going to not get over spiritualized and check out of your body and actually live your soul's purpose. Okay. So the patterns only truly change when you're living in it, because that is the proof, the outcome of the healing. That's how you know they've really changed, because you're living in it. And if you don't see that, there's been some steps that have been missed along the lines, okay? So when healing shifts do occur, energy shifts happen. I will often hear from clients, they'll say to me, yeah, but I've done so much work on this. Yeah, but I've healed so much over this. Why is it still there? And I'm like, so what did you do? How did you implement it? Well, I didn't. And I'm like, well, there's your problem. Let's talk about implementation. Let's talk about the steps you can take to show your body it's safe to do this. Let's take the steps to show your emotions that you can receive love without it being a threat to pain. Let's show your body that, right? Because these steps aren't being followed, for instance. It joins all the dots up. So, giving you a perfect example is boundaries, right? So if you do inner child work, you're talking to the inner child and you do the work with the inner child, and you're going to say to them, this is a boundary, this is what it looks like, this is what it feels like, and teach that inner child that what happened to that child isn't its fault, this interpretation of it, and this is how to create a new boundary. So you collect that part of the inner child in yourself. Now, we've talked to the inner child, but what about the adult version? How does the adult version take that and then walk with it, okay? Just because you've done the inner child bit doesn't mean that it's done. You've rescued that traumatic point in your timeline and you've put it in, it's a soul fragment. You put that soul fragment inside to complete your soul more, okay, in this lifetime. The soul's complete anyway, but a part of it is stuck, right? So you're picking up these soul fragments, okay? And then as it integrates, you then have to live it in the adult version. So in my adult version, how can I learn to say no more in the loving way? How can I say no without offending people? How can I say no without feeling like I'm not helping someone, you know? How can I say no and keep my people pleasing in check? How can I say no and not be codependent? These are the things that we're looking for, okay? So we must understand how to put them into practice now. And if you struggle with these things, then one of the things to ask is trick the brain, because the brain always thinks it knows best, doesn't it? So be like, I don't know, you can't do it, or that's not right, or I don't know. If you don't know, if you were advising your best friend, what would you tell her? What would you tell him on how to implement them? What would you tell them? And then whatever you tell them is what you need to tell yourself. Because often even when I'm talking in healings, I'm talking to myself as much as I'm talking to the person that I'm working with. I am talking to myself often. So what we say is what we need unless we've come out of it, and then we move on, if that makes sense. Okay. And it's, sometimes it doesn't stop there. You go back and you have to do the healing more than one time, because every time you up level, the experience becomes different. You need to heal from a higher level. You go up again, you need to heal from a higher level. It becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. You get over it much quicker. It's done. There it is. And that's what needs to happen. Okay. So when you heal, let's go through the 3 steps again. When you heal, you are healing energy, the energy part of you that impacts the physical body. You look for what it shows you. You see how it's affected you historically in this lifetime, okay? And how it stopped you living your life to the fullest. So it's perceived limitations somewhere. Once you have done the healing and you've got the answers, you allow it to integrate. So you allow it to land, you allow it to become a part of you. Now, from healing to integration and embodiment, ground, right? Sit on the ground, spend time on the ground, walk barefoot on the ground. Do your grounding where you feel the roots underneath your feet. You need to be in here. It needs to come from here into here, okay? So do as much grounding as you can. And sometimes when I've done a lot of healing or channeling, I have to ground like every hour, because I can jump straight out there again, because the channel's so big and so beautiful. I'm like, oh, I want to hang out there. I don't want to be here. But, you have to incorporate that within your being. You have to experience that here. It does still happen to me occasionally. So integration, allowing it to land by grounding, by nurturing the body, by making sure that the body is not going through a healing crisis, and being on the ground is one of the best things you can do. The electromagnetic waves of the earth in 10 to 20 minutes can rebalance your body. So lie on the ground. If you've got a garden, get out, lie on the grass. Honestly, it's one of the best things you can do. Tree bathe, sit on the roots of the trees. It's one of the nicest things you can do, because they're a beautiful connection to so many other trees. Integration is letting go of the new and letting go of the old and incorporating the new. So the recognition of what you've done. What have you let go of and what you're incorporating, okay? And then noticing how different you feel. So after a healing, you might feel very different very quickly. But it's how do you continue that feeling? Embodiment. There we go. So you apply action. So if you're not sure what the action is, go back to journaling and ask the question, what action do I need to do? Connect to your heart. Ask your heart, what do I need to do? Your body will always tell you. Your body knows, it's always right. Don't question it, okay? Then when you've done that, it's how do I create it into a habit? Now, if it's for your highest good, creating a habit is going to be easy if you can get out of your own way. It's not fun, exciting, creating new habits. Excuse me a moment. So what can you do? There is a thing out there that it takes 21 days to create a habit. I don't believe that. I'll tell you why I don't believe that. Because I know for a fact that if it's important enough, I will create the habit in the first go. And when I do something on day 1 and I set a reminder for day 2, and then I set another reminder for day 3, by day 4, I've just got it. I'm doing it because it means that much to me. It's important. So if it was important for you to do the healing, it's important for you to do the action. Okay. This is how you bookend it. This is how you make it the reality. This is how you practice it. Okay. So create the habit and then notice the physical change, because this is the embodiment part, going into the body. All right. What is the physical change? Are you noticing you relax more? Are you noticing you feel more safe? Are you noticing your emotions better? Are you noticing that when someone comes towards you, you're not flinching? What are you noticing? What's different through the actions? What's happened? When you enforce a boundary, when you say no, how does it make you feel? How does your body feel? Does your body feel like, yeah, that's good? You know, when you've gone against your boundary, your body just clenches up and you're like, I shouldn't have done that. It's stressing me out. I don't feel good. Notice what happens, okay? So when it becomes a part of you, it's easy It's so easy. A habit can be formed very, very quickly if you set the intention that it will, and that the action can be magnified and land and do its job. Intention is my favorite word right now. I'm using it all the time. Creating the intentions, drawing energy with intentions. Basically, you are commanding energy. My intention is for this to happen, right? Energy is listening, your body's listening, all parts of you are listening, everything around you is listening. It co-creates to make it happen. Important that we realize this, okay? I will go back again and again and again to your spiritual toolbox. If you don't know what your spiritual toolbox is, think about what gets you calm. Think about what makes you feel good. Think about what makes you feel level. Write those things down, keep them to hand. It's really important. In Soul School, if you're a member of Soul School, you will know that I've said somewhere that when we were working on the spiritual and wellness toolbox, that understand what practice is related to what is happening for you. So if you're anxious, what practice is related to that?